Welcome to the Driver's Line. I'm Greg.
And I'm Jordan.
And today we've got a conversation.
And today's conversation is all about cars that were sales successes, but maybe they shouldn't have been.
Yeah, these are cars that really were not good cars, but they sold a lot. Or, and as far as a lot goes, we're going to go ahead and put the bottom of that threshold at about 100,000 sales.
Yeah.
But the first one we're talking about actually sold 3.1 million.
Pretty insane.
Yes, very good sales for something that was... It was a hot sales success. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly set the sales charts on fire.
It did. Problem is, it also set some of its customers on fire. So, of course, we're talking about the Ford Pinto.
Oh, no. Yeah, it is a Ford Pinto, debuting in 1971.
Yep, became known as a barbecue that seats four. It's famously known for exploding gas tanks when involved in a rear-end collision.
Yeah, so, I mean, Ford needed a competitor when it came to the import market. I mean, they were just eating their lunch, dinner, and breakfast the next day.
Yep.
So, they introduced that Pinto. Comes out with 50-odd horsepower.
Oh.
But can be had up to 103. So
103. Zip right along in your Ford Pinto.
Until you blow up.
Until you blow up. But that's only if someone runs into you.
Right. So that never happens.
This is, obviously not one of Ford's prouder moments because they did a lot of internal research and debate with their lawyers on doing cost-benefit analysis for probably saying, hey, what will it cost for us to fix these cars versus what is it going to cost us to litigate this after someone dies?
Yeah.
What do you think it costs to fix each car?
Oh, I'm sure it's very, very expensive.
$11.
Oh, no.
But the problem is when you sell this many, it would have cost a lot.
That's true. So let's just kill people instead.
Yeah, so unfortunately that's the decision they made.
Crazy.
Until they revised the design enough to go ahead and fix the gas tank issue.
Yeah, I mean, oddly enough, though, the chairman, Henry Ford II, owned one and drove around one every day. So I guess, he had a great life insurance policy.
I don't know. Maybe either that or his wife wanted him dead. She's like, here, sweetie, I got you a new Pinto. He drives behind her in her Lincoln Town car.
So when those debuted, I mean, they were pretty affordable. I mean, when you take their cost and convert it to today, I'm not sure why Henry Ford chose it because it would have cost $14,000 in today's money, which, I mean, that's certainly much cheaper than anything you see out now.
Oh,
but considering the quality of the vehicle, it makes
pretty
sense.
low quality,
right?
Yeah.
So stay away from those Pintos.
Stay away from the Pintos. And
there's a lot of them.
There are. Well, probably not that many anymore.
Ashes, dust to dust.
That's right.
All right. Next on our list is another domestic vehicle that has sold many, many copies. We're talking about 1.6 million of them.
Yep.
And that's the Chevy Citation.
Yeah, the known as the GM X bodies, right? These were front-wheel drive. Again, another effort to try to compete against the import market, which they saw coming very, very strongly. Lots of customers flooding to Honda and Toyota, and so GM's like, "Hey, we got to come up with something." So, of course, they made one with all the different versions of their brands because they love badge engineering, especially back then.
Oh, yeah.
But we're just going to talk about the Citation right now.
For sure. Now, Citation stands for something that is outstanding in its field, a wonderful example of a product. So clearly, that was a naming error.
Naming error. This deserves no citations. Actually got Motor Trend Car of the Year 1980.
Yeah. We know that is clearly a symbol of excellence.
I know. Car and Driver actually came back later and said that was one of the biggest mistakes in an award ever. So when you have a rival magazine publication saying, yeah, that was really a bad call. But in Motor Trend's defense and in a lot of those early reviewers' defenses, GM actually sent ringers.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
GM sent ringers to all these publications for review.
Wow.
So one of the biggest issues with the Citation was torque steer. It was a terribly torque steery car. It just, they didn't understand front wheel drive that well at that point.
Yeah, that's the Chevy's first front wheel drive car.
And, just had a lot of issues trying to make that work properly.
Yeah.
And so they sent versions that had special steering racks and suspension design that wasn't available to the public. And so
Imagine
they
doing that nowadays.
bangers, yeah. And there were so many reviewers that had issues with these cars when they were new. It was kind of like the Blazer EV now. Like, I mean, just reviewer after reviewer having lots of issues, pieces falling off, just really, really poor build quality.
And not to mention, the second you drove it off the lot, it started rusting.
Yeah, it started rusting.
Huge rust issues with those, too.
Yeah. And the rear brakes would lock up under hard braking, which would then cause you to spin out and have an accident.
But all this can be had at the low, low price in 2024 dollars of $22,000.
Yeah, still not a good value.
Not super expensive, but still not worth it.
Not a good value. Not a good value.
Not worth it. Yeah.
I think that's enough about the citation.
Yeah, let's give that a rest.
So we're going to talk about a Ford again, and this is the Ford Aspire.
Oh, we aspire to own it, don't we?
Yeah, we do not aspire to own this car. We aspire not to own it. We aspire to do better, so we don't have to have a Ford Aspire.
There you go.
So thinking back a little further beyond. Before the Aspire was the Ford Festiva, which actually was a good little runabout car for what it was. It wasn't going to set any land speed records. It wasn't going to do anything like that. Right. But reliable car, well built. Ford actually co-built it with Mazda. For the second generation, for some reason, Ford decided to kick Mazda out because it was too good. And they're like, hey, we're going to build this with Kia.
Yeah.
So think about Kia in the early 90s.
I mean, stellar build quality, very reliable,
oh, yeah.
Excellent performance.
Yeah, great design. Yeah. No, none of those things. Actually, none of those things. And so the Aspire was exactly that type of product.
Yeah.
Terrible build quality, terrible to drive, bad handling, poor power. Everything was wrong with it.
But they were so cute. They were just little cute things.
I mean, maybe.
I mean, I can't. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around why someone would buy one.
It's just a blob. I mean, it just was not a great cohesive. It just was not an attractive car.
But sold plenty.
It sold plenty, yeah.
So there you go. Oh man, we aspire to that.
We aspire to move on.
Yes, we do. So let's move on to something maybe a bit more aspirational. Ooh. Why not? Let's move on to a luxury bland.
A luxury bland?
Excuse me.
Well, maybe that's just a little bit of foreshadowing for the type of car we're talking about.
For sure. So, in the 90s, Cadillac realized we're kind of in trouble here because we got lots of big, comfy lemon yachts, but we got nothing to compete with the imports. So, they decided the best way to do that was not to look in their own system and develop something from the ground up, tailored to the needs of the market. No, let's just import an Opel Omega and slap a Caddy badge on it.
And we're going to make that Opel worse.
Exactly.
Because we have to tailor it to the Cadillac clientele. So, Cadillac was in there. They saw BMW doing so well with the 3 Series, saw Mercedes doing so well with the C-Class, Audi doing so well with the A4. They're like, man, we want a piece of that. But we need to go ahead and add all the sound editing because this is what our Cadillac customers want. We got to do some chassis reinforcement. So they added, I think it was 400 pounds to the car.
Whew. And coming out of a 3-liter V6 that produces 200 whole horsepower.
Yes. And guess what it made in the Opel? 220. So they actually detuned it down to 200.
What are we doing?
So they wanted less horsepower and more weight. So what do you think that did for the Caddy that zigs?
The Catera, the wonderful Catera, the Caddy that zigs, probably didn't zig so well.
It didn't zig.
No.
No. And the clientele that they were trying to attract with this car, which was going to be the youthful folks that bought 3 Series, C-Class, A4s. You make your marketing the Caddy that zigs? That sounds like the Jitterbug phone. Like, come on.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point.
It was terribly marketing for the folks that you're wanting to actually target with.
For sure, yeah. Oh. And then you talk about the price.
Yes.
How much it cost when it entered the market. So way back when in 96, it was sub 30,000. But when you convert that to our dollars, here today, an entry-level Cadillac Catera would have cost you over $57,000. For
a rebadged Opel with more weight and less horsepower.
I mean,
it's terrible.
It's a bar of soap, guys.
Yeah, that's terrible. So, unbelievably, they sold 95,000 of these. Wow. Which, again, is slightly under our 100,000 threshold, but we thought it close enough to go ahead and include here.
Yeah, there's probably some 5,000 missing in the accounting somewhere. We don't want to talk about these extra.
But either way, they sold nearly 100,000 of these things rolling around. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, so if you see them on the market, probably stay away because probably leaking some brake fluid somewhere.
Yes, absolutely. All right, next up, after that wonderful Catera, we're going to move over to our friends at Stellantis, and we're going to start off with Jeep. And the first generation Jeep Compass was a terrible vehicle. Just in every way, shape, and form. But somehow Jeep managed to ship 375,000 of these. 375,000 people in rental companies thought this was a good vehicle to purchase. It's just unbelievable. It boggles my mind.
The days when the Compass came out, it seems so bizarre to me because at the same time they had the Patriot.
Yes.
Same vehicle, just different body styling. I mean, I would say the Patriot's more attractive because it had that Cherokee-esque look to it.
Right.
So why take something, split it in two different products? You're taking your buyers and giving them two options instead of just focusing on one. And then make it ugly.
Yes.
It was hideous.
Hideous. It was the worst Jeep design probably ever. Like, I can't think of one that's worse.
If I'm honest, it was a finalist to be in your Nightmare Garage when we went back to that episode.
Oh, God, that would have been worse than anything you gave me.
Sorry. It's even worse than that CVT transmission that was in it.
Oh, God.
The Jacko.
They did it, and it was really unreliable, too.
Yeah.
This was an early CVT, so it was known for braking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just unbelievably slow, wheezy engine, loud, plastic fantastic interior. I mean, this is when Dodge and Jeep were known for their Rubbermaid interiors.
Yeah, it was a terrible era for Jeep.
It was so bad. It was
really
so
was.
bad.
So just to give you an idea, like when those came out, if we kind of converted the prices to today's money, you could get a Honda HR-V for cheaper.
Unbelievable.
For cheaper.
It's just unbelievable. I went on Reddit, and I'm going to have to pick up my notes here because I want to read this verbatim.
Okay.
So, someone on Reddit said, "Should I buy a Jeep Compass?" First reply said, "Dear God, no." Second reply, "Worst Jeep ever made."
I mean, they're not wrong. I can't think of one that would be worse.
They aren't wrong. I mean, it's just the absolute worst. And the fact they sold 375,000 still boggles me. I cannot believe it.
It's also, you're speaking the truth, though. It's got to be mostly rental car companies because at that time the market was pretty suppressed.
Yep.
So, I mean, unless people are just truly desperate to get into a Jeep product, I can't see why else you would buy one.
No.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Terrible. I feel sick just talking about it, honestly.
It was so bad.
It really was. So, staying in the Stellantis realm,
Yes.
we have a couple of other offerings. One of which being the wonderful, fantastic Chrysler Sebring.
Ooh, yes, and yes, this is the variant of the Sebring that looked like a turtle. Had that really hunched back. It was a very unattractive vehicle.
Yeah, that latest version was just really propulsive.
Yeah.
Honestly,
they even try to freshen it up a little bit, and it just did not work. It's kind of like with the Compass. They put that more Jeep-looking nose on the Compass, and that didn't help matters that much.
No, it didn't. It looked clunky. Was not a performer. Nope. Not reliable. Didn't have a great interior. Nope. I mean, there's not really a reason to buy one.
No, there's absolutely no reason unless it's just the only thing you can afford. Which, I mean, if it's the only thing you can afford, I still think there's better options out there.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, definitely, no doubt.
Yeah, and picking on Dodge some more, we've got a couple more
from that era. It's a tough era for Dodge and Chrysler.
Yeah, I mean, their cars were just so extremely low quality, and so the last two we're going to mention are the Dodge Nitro and the Dodge Caliber.
Mm-hmm. The Caliber's tough for me because it does have that cool SRT4.
Yeah, but that was such a step down from the Neon SRT4.
It's true. It
was slower. It was less attractive. It was less nimble. It was less poor handling.
Yeah, it could have been a cool package. It could have a little hot hatch from Dodge, but they just did not execute it well.
No, they executed it so poorly. And I wanted to read a quote from Consumer Reports for you.
Oh, boy.
Now, I'm not a huge Consumer Reports fan, so me to bring this forward to show you how bad it is. So, Consumer Reports said, "The engine is noisy, fit and finish are subpar, handling is lackluster, engines lack punch, and fuel economy is not impressive."
I'm trying to think of anything that's possibly good about it, and there's not.
No, there's nothing. Really not. No redeeming qualities. Literally none.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, same for the Dodge Nitro. I mean, it's lacks any real off-road capability with all its suspension modifications that were done to it.
That one. The Truth About Cars said when they reviewed the Dodge Nitro, they said, "The interior is as rental grade as the exterior of a Ford Taurus."
Ooh. That's tough. That's tough. That's tough. I didn't mind the way they looked necessarily on the outside.
They kind of had an interesting kind of like, sort of like muscular, like look on the outside. It was kind of different and like sort of Transformers-ish a little bit, but
didn't meet the looks of it at all. Its performance.
Yeah, no, the performance was bad, and it shared its platform with the Jeep Liberty, which was a much better product.
Yeah,
I mean, it had a nicer interior. Had the Jeep name,
right?
A little bit nicer,
a little more off-road capable.
Yeah.
So definitely not a bright spot in the Stellantis history there, for sure.
There's a reason none of these cars exist anymore.
Right. But at one point, someone thought it was a good idea. So let's learn from our mistakes, please.
Yes.
So we hope you enjoyed our list of terrible cars that definitely shouldn't have sold as well as they did.
Thank you very much for watching.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks for joining us on The Driver's Line.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe to make sure you don't miss a thing.